Hello everyone. Today's video is about dock flotation. It may surprise you to learn that there's not one type of flotation that's best in all cases. It really does depend on your situation. Things like wave action and the amount of weight that you're putting on your dock both play a big factor. The two most common options are box floats, which are like rectangular plastic floats, and also pontoons. The big difference between these two styles is the shape, and think of it as the shape of the bottom of the float where it's contacting the water. Now, the big thing is buoyancy. So, the way buoyancy works is if you put 500 pounds on top of one of these floats, it will sink into the water until it's pushed away or displaced 500 pounds of water, the weight of 500 pounds of water. If you put 500 pounds on a box float, because of the surface area and how big it is, it doesn't take that many inches of height to displace 500 pounds of water because it's spread out with so much surface area. In comparison, a pontoon, if you put 500 pounds on this rounded shape, the water needs to go much farther up the pontoon in order to have the volume to be 500 pounds of water. So this is important for two reasons. One, if you have a lot of wave action, the pontoons, a dock with pontoons tends to be more stable because the water has to travel farther up the pontoon before it's ready to lift the weight of the dock. So small waves kind of roll through a dock like this and don't move very much. A box float, when the waves come in, it's supporting or ready to lift a lot more weight. So when the waves come in, the dock will lift more quickly. So in rougher conditions, pontoon docks tend to be the choice because they sit a little more stable when the water is always moving. On the flip side, if you have a dock and you're putting lots of weight on it, so think of, you always have a lot of people, or maybe you have some heavy plastic chairs, something like that, where either there's a lot of weight or there's a lot of difference in the weight from, say, one side of the dock to the other. A dock with box floats, when you put a lot of weight on it, it's only going to drop, so far into the water, which means that the height difference of say, the left side and the right side, or the water side and the shore side, the difference won't be that much because it's spread that weight over such a big area. With pontoon docks, one of the common complaints we have is that when I put those 3 or 4 heavy plastic chairs at the end, the dock sits on a bit of an angle. And it's simply because the pontoons have to sink farther in the water to push away the weight of those chairs. If we flip to our ramps, what we do at On the Water Designs is, regardless of the type of float that the dock has, we always use a box float on the ramp. And the reason for this is that the main purpose of the float on the ramp is to stop the ramp from dropping into the water under weight. Now there's the weight of the ramp. So when this has decking on it and the frame, that has weight. And so the hinge point here is usually where you'll see things dip. So without the float, all of that weight would rest on the end of the dock and make the end of the dock want to drop into the water. So we put a float on it so the ramp supports its own weight. However, if that float was made of a pontoon, it would drop into the water more quickly when weight is on the ramp. Like, say 1 or 2 people are walking down the ramp, it would travel farther down, meaning that it's not really doing its job quite as well as what a box float can do. By choosing a float that's wider, we have a lot more surface area, and whether there's a lot of weight or just a little bit of weight, the difference won't be that much in the height, which means that ramp kind of stays more static or stationary, and the performance feels better overall. So our company, we have both pontoons and box floats, so we can mix and match between those choices. A lot of companies really only make pontoons, so that's the only material that they kind of have available, or they also only have box floats and they don't have the option for pontoons. So sometimes your dock provider is just providing, what the materials they have or what they're used to. We've got a bit of a mix between the two, so we kind of use the best choice for each of those situations. Anyways, that's a quick primer on box floats and pontoon floats and which one's better for your situation.